Rueben.
Hey, thank you.
Very nice to have you on. We've been working together in conjunction a little bit through Tracey, one of our wonderful members of my business network. So tell everybody who you are and tell everybody a little bit about Iron Horse.
Oh, sure. Thank you. And I appreciate the invite today.
Anytime, man.
And very appreciative and humbled.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad I can connect with
Yeah,
you guys.
definitely.
It's been a pleasure working with you too.
It has been very, very pleasurable, and, the sky's the limit,
I can't wait for more. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. I like to, I have a thing where I say you can soar with egos and you have your downfall, or you can soar with eagles and rise.
It's a great saying. I love that. Mm-hmm. I love that.
Yes.
So let's take a step back. I always like to do the who, what, and why. So your name is Rueben Rodriguez.
Yep, my name is Rueben.
So what's your history with working in Hamilton and Trenton?
Okay, sure. Well, my name is Rueben Rodriguez. I've been a Trenton resident for over 40 years. I did live in other states as well, Texas, Illinois, Georgia, New York, military brat.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for your service. If you were in, or
parents or grandparents.
I thank them for their service.
You, yeah. Well, you're welcome. Because I had to deal with the moving. Is say I'm not going to go with the George Jefferson thing. Oh, I was born of a shark robber. Well, growing up, being my dad, my biological father, was a major in the U.S. Air Force, and my mom retired as a tech sergeant in U.S. Air Force. My dad was also in the FBI for about 10, 15 years, wow. And then he was in the CIA for about another 15, 20 years. He was actually, I think he was, what's the word, inducted into the CIA, actually.
That's quite a prestigious career.
Yeah. So he's been around the country and stuff like that. I can say some things about that.
Yeah, yeah, no, I get it.
And some things I can't, of course. I'm going to say, growing up, being with parents in the military and stuff like that, I noticed that, if you don't mind me getting into a little conspiracy stuff, it's my own personal, things that happened to me.
We're here to open the public eyes.
So just about my history, with traveling and stuff like that, and, noticed I was always being watched, something like that. Found out later that my father had me kind of protected as I traveled across the country. And didn't even know.
Better safe than sorry.
Yeah, thing is about you don't. I didn't even know until you told me later years.
Yeah.
He goes, oh yeah, I knew everywhere you traveled at and everything.
That's crazy.
I said it's kind of funny because my mom don't talk. So he broke it out and he said, yes, this is how I know, everything, about that. So I had an interesting young 10-year, I guess, elementary, middle school, and high school.
Yeah.
Went to 3 high schools.
That could be rough.
Yeah, it was. One school, all the way up to about the 11th grade. It's kind of, I had that 11th grade was actually my transition from Catholic school to public school.
Gotcha.
And the cultural change from Catholic parochial school, rather, to a public school, was interesting change. And mind you, I wore a uniform from kindergarten all the way up to the 11th grade. Yes. 11th grade, switched schools. Started Ewing High School. 11th grade there. Went there for about 1 year.
So you are quite local, for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Went to McCorston High School.
Cool, yeah.
Yep. That was the Catholic school I went there. Yep. Awesome. And my elementary was St. Mary's Cathedral.
All right, yeah.
So it's all, really local.
Yep.
My final school was Hightstown High School.
All right.
Yes.
That's not a bad school either.
No, it wasn't. And they had television production there.
So that's what got you into it.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly. Believe it or not, even when I was a young kid, I've always been fascinated with film and movies, and I always wanted a camera, kind of like you have over here.
So back then, what were some of your favorite TV shows, films, and other edits?
Well, I
Just
could
curious.
Yeah, yeah.
Give
well,
us
I
the
could
full history.
I give you a full history. Oh, believe it or not, the one movie that got me interested in filming and wanted to be actually an actor, and I tried out acting too when I was young. When I was gonna say the Never Ending Story, but it wasn't really the Never Ending Story.
That's a good one, though.
Yes, it was actually The Flight of the Navigator from Disney.
Okay.
It goes. I'm going back.
I was about to say, I think me and my dad might have watched that once.
Yeah, I'm going back to like 1985.
Yeah. That was,
84.
yeah. What was it about it that captured your interest?
It was about time traveling, being in the future, space alien, ship, the whole thing interested me. And I said, man, I'd love to be an actor and everything like that.
Absolutely, yeah.
And also maybe behind the camera. So for years, I always, for a kid, I always asked, can I get a camera? Not knowing when you're a kid that your parents not going to spend $2,000.
And I was just having a conversation with this other day. Back then, cameras were expensive.
Yes, they were. And
$2,000, $3,000 in the 90s.
And they weren't even this high grade quality.
Not anywhere near. He was saying, I just did an interview with another local videographer. Mm-hmm. He was saying in 2006 even a 1 gigabyte memory card was about $100.
Yes, it was. It was very expensive. Very expensive.
And now I think these cameras have 256, and I paid maybe like $60 for it.
Yeah. Oh, please. I could tell you, like, you're not lying. I remember I got my very first camera. It was a tape camera. It was a DV. Because I remember when DV came out.
Yeah.
And the camera was about this size. And I was like, I'm not gonna lie, the little jealousy came over because I see people in Best Buy buying the camera, and I'm looking in my pocket like,
yeah, exactly.
I can't afford that. So a friend of mine. Now I'm going back to maybe 2003, 2004, roughly. I know I jumped ahead a little bit there. But I went on eBay. eBay was out just for a couple years now.
Yep.
And I said, you know what? I got enough money. Not a lot of money, but maybe by chance I can buy a camera used.
Yeah.
And take a chance. So I'm going on eBay. Of course, I'm looking at the new cameras. Like, oh man, I really want one of those cameras. Right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So then I said, I got to start somewhere. So I went on eBay. Found a guy selling a used camera for $400. Back then, a tape camera $400, not bad. Versus spending $1,000, $1,400.
Absolutely,
for a camera. Worked out beautifully. Got the camera. I shot my first. I shot a full feature film.
Really?
Yes.
What was that about?
It was a murder mystery movie called Forgive Me Not, and it was my first attempt to do a full feature. Came out really terrible.
How long? Well,
it was a call.
I get you on that. Yeah. I mean, we all got to walk to run.
Exactly. Shoot, I was crawling before I walked.
Oh my God.
And I can tell you that you would think you had all your T's crossed, your I's dots, and everything down the line, got everything categorized. I mean, I did everything to the T to make sure it worked out, and it still, had a lot of unfortunate mistakes.
I found doing this, it's not until you see the actual video come out that you can make your final assumptions.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I had one more thing.
Sure.
Can you explain a little bit to people what it was like shooting tape compared to the digital that only came in like 06 or 07?
Oh, yeah. Oh, man.
Because that's a huge thing that I think people forget now.
Believe it or not, a friend of mine felt bad that he was letting me use his camera, and which is kind of odd, but very, godly person. Bought me my first digital SD card camera for me.
Wow.
He got it on sale for like $400 or $500. He said, "This is a gift for you, for always helping me out."
That's incredible.
Yeah. Of course, when SD card at the time.
Yeah.
it was like almost $100 for 1 gig.
Easily,
so you had to get like 2 12 megabyte cards, and you had to make sure, or you get some generic brand you can get for maybe $50.
And hope they don't corrupt.
Right? Yeah. Exactly. So I was like, well, I can tell you, when the tape came out, then they came out with, when I was shooting the film, they had the regular, DV cam tapes, and then they came out the HD, DV cam tapes. And I got to tell, professor told me she didn't see any different when I was at the school. I was taking it to school. It was right before I was graduating. I was filming this movie, and they were saying that there's no difference, right? You know, me, I can see difference sometimes in the quality of the camera, you know, right away. Even the most subtle details, I can tell. Some people, you can't really tell.
It's just like sometimes people have an ear for music.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely.
Same thing. Color palette, ear palette.
Yep.
Exactly. And I just said, you know what? I think you're right. But I think the difference between the HD tape and the regular, you know, tape was that I think the stronghold in the tape was the quality lasted longer. So you were able to tape over it a little bit more.
That makes sense.
The density was more. There was really no difference in the tape, but I noticed that when I recorded over something, it didn't like smudge, if it's a good word. You know, kind of like looks.
I get what
smudgy,
you're saying.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, smudgy and stuff like that. And I tell you, I bought racks of tapes. I still have them.
I was about to say, do you still have them?
Yes, I still have them, and they've been sitting there now collecting dust for, oh my gosh, almost 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
You ever think of going back and getting the technology to maybe do some re-edits just for fun?
I thought about that. Believe it or not, I did finish the film. Yeah.
Is there anywhere that people can see it? Just curious. Maybe you got to throw it up on your website.
I'll get to that
just
soon.
For fun, yeah.
Just for fun. I'll try to like a cult classic type of thing.
Course.
You know, believe it or not, when I got the first, I'm going to tell you about the cult classic too. I met what's his name? I did Iron Man. Robert Downey.
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr. I met his father at a film festival.
Wow.
I'll get to that story. So
we'll
of
course.
That right
Let's keep it linear. So let's go back to
the camera.
Yeah, exactly.
The camera. Yeah. As I said, I'm gonna put that over here. So finally, you know, with the tape camera, then my friend bought me the digital camera, first digital camera. So I had an event. Fortunately, I bought my tape camera I had 2 cameras now. Now I actually had 3. I had 2 tapes and 1 digital. So I used the digital for the center, you know, because I wanted to get the most quality, you know, out of it. So I'm recording with it. I'm like, wow, this is beautiful, you know, from tape. Even the image, of course, it was a Panasonic.
Well, they're great cameras. Yeah.
The only problem with this camera, I did not know. And unfortunately, I'm glad I bought my tape cameras. It overheated.
Yes, gotta love hot. Technology. Yeah, that sounds about right. So, how long were you filming for? Just for context. A couple hours?
Yes, about 3 or 4 hours.
Oh, that's the issue.
And it was getting hot, so I'm looking around, looking forward to you know, like events, they give you those booklets, you know, itinerary booklets and stuff like that. So I'm like this with the pan. Like,
it's crazy. A lot of the higher end, like Pixar quality cameras and stuff have built-in cooling systems now.
But the first one didn't.
No, not
and
not
I had one of the very first
then.
ones, you know, for the car. It was one of those groups of the first ones. And the other disadvantage was which I'm glad people don't notice on digital cameras, there are split levels. You have your top and you have your bottom. And those are your sensors, right? So when I panned the camera, and this is how I found out about the sensors. I panned the camera, the person will still be up here talking, but the bottom part will be missing. I was like, wait a minute.
Something's wrong
here. Right? So fortunately, I'm glad I bought my camera so I could put them angled like this at the podium. So if anything, when I edit it, I could just switch over. So finally, when I saw that, because you could see it live when I switch, I was like, how is it doing that, the top and the bottom? I said, well, and I said, okay, maybe it was just a little error, right? Because I panned too fast. Yeah. So I said, okay, I'll pan really slow. I pan real slow just to get a picture of the dais. And it's still cut in half. What's going on here? So, of course, with the evolution of Google, you know, and I'm doing some research and I can't find anything yet. So I called Panasonic. I said, I got 2 problems with your camera. It overheats. And it splits when I pan. They go, yeah, we're still working on that issue, and hopefully with the new generation. So I said, so you're telling me that I can only use it for straight shots, and that's it? He said, yeah, for right now, just use it for straight shots. Don't pan. I forgot who I talked to. Again, going back almost 18 years ago. Yeah. You know, for that. So I was like, well, the quality is pretty good, right? And I think I still have that camera. I think.
Isn't it crazy how much technology has progressed in just less than 2 decades?
Oh yeah, it's more like, like remember you had the big VHS tapes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we still have ours from when I was like 3 or 4. Like,
you ever heard of S-Video?
No, what's that?
Yeah, S-Video is what the studios used to use back in the 80s and in the early 90s before even the DV came out. And I actually shot my first documentary on S-Video tape.
Interesting.
SVHS, I'm sorry. SVHS tape. They were...
I remember VHS for sure.
Yeah, VHS. These are super VHS.
Oh,
they were
okay.
a little bit bigger. And the density was a little bit thicker.
So it would come out with better quality stuff.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Better quality stuff.
Very interesting.
And I shot with the cameras that took the SVHS.
So that's what would be on like Channel 5 News or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting.
The grade was different than your home VHS.
Gotcha.
And then they also had studio grade VHS, which fits in the camera like you have your home, but it was it was like a SV. No, yeah, the bigger tapes were like a SVS Super because they were like I forgot the inches, but bigger than your home VHS tape.
Typical.
Yeah. And I remember when I shot with the huge, big camera and everything like that. And I remember, I know I'm reversing a little bit. And the guy, the video manager always tells me, I took one to New York once, videotaping my class trip. And I remember the director, he goes, well, make sure you don't break that camera. That camera cost the school $25,000.
That's wild.
And I said, isn't the school insured? He goes, yeah, for students only. I said, I don't know, student. He goes, yeah, okay, so we're fine. And plus, I'm not gonna be alone. I'm gonna be a group of 25 people.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I had one more quick question with your schooling. You went to school for videography. What kind of projects did they have you do throughout the course, just in case anybody who's watching who's wanted to maybe do that?
Oh, yeah.
Like what kind of projects would they have you do so that you could get your degree?
Sure, definitely. Oh, and by the way, if I jump from the linear thing, you could ask me.
It's fine,
that we missed, of course.
I appreciate it, yeah.
Well, we had, believe it or not, I took video and I took photography.
It's a great combo to have, for sure.
And I'll tell you why I took them both. But first to your first question, the projects we had to do were most like we had to do like set projects. We had to do a music video project.
Awesome.
We had to do like little skits and everything. And this is before actually they had film and television at, I went to Mercer County Community College.
Yeah.
But they had TV production. We did a lot of news broadcasting, production. I've done a lot of high-end, broadcasting.
Yeah.
Not like class stuff. I actually did stuff when we had the senators come and do for a run race. We did different interviews with high-profile people that are in politics.
Yeah.
Even the governor, I forgot his name, not Christie.
Good.
One of the governors, I forgot his name, McGreevy came to the school and did a DMV commercial.
That's awesome.
At Mercer as well. So we've done they kind of like made that the project, but before we did that, of course, you learn how to use the camera and you had the books and study and
learn about exposure and with different lighting and all of that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The lighting. And so, and plus you have to, take tests, of course, written tests. And I'll be honest with you, that's not kind of what I wanted to do. I wanted to be behind the camera.
Of course,
I wanted to be a photographer. I'm like, what is this? So I said, with paper tests. I just did it anyway. If I got a B or a C in a class, that's fine. My passion was the art of filming.
Absolutely. I mean, as long as you got the degree at the end of the day. Right?
Exactly. Exactly. I even, because of financial reasons, I did study acting and theater at the University of Arts in Philadelphia.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But because of financial stuff, I couldn't afford to go any longer. So I
arts degrees can be a little expensive.
Oh yeah. Wait till I tell you about photography.
Well, I can imagine, especially back in the day, because that was a much more prevalent force and everything.
Oh yeah.
I could imagine that.
Oh, believe me, I took photography twice. Believe it or not, was reason why I took twice was the first time I couldn't afford all the stuff, so I kind of didn't pass the class. Even though I knew the professor and everything, they tried their best to help me out. But like to get a camera and stuff like that. They actually gave me a camera to
Those
use.
were just as expensive as video cameras.
Oh yeah, they were.
And then lenses are a whole other
whole other animal. And I, fortunately, my mom had bought a camera back in 1989. It's a Yashica camera, 1989. And I found out later on one of my travels that was actually a good camera. So I was able to use that. So fortunately, I was able to use that in school. But the paper and the press boards and the photo paper, right?
Yeah.
And the press board and the lining that you had to put behind it, the press board when you press it down.
And just to give people, some younger people, some reference, you had to go and do the exposure yourself.
Oh yeah.
And dip it in the water and
the chemical wash, the finish wash, and then the actual water wash in the dark room. And I remember the first time I went to a dark room, I said, boy, when they made the dark room, it was just these red lights and everything.
Yep.
You know, and the chemical smell gets on your hands and everything. It smells like some type of funky formaldehyde or something like that, you know. And and we didn't wear masks in there either.
No.
So I'm thinking to myself, should we really be wearing masks? Because every bucket it's a classroom lab. So
probably should have been wearing some gloves, some nice.
Oh, we did have gloves though.
Well, there you go.
But even with the gloves, sometimes a little bit
seeps
over in a sense, so your hands smell like the chemical wash, and then you go into your next class and you go, okay, you know, like. So with photography though, it helped me with cinematography, and I'll tell you why. Because even though I took television, but now Mercer has film and television later in years, of course. The photography really gave you the aspect of lighting and color and texture, how to shoot with f-stops and focusing, you know, stuff like. Even though they went more in depth, in photography than in television.
So you get the view of the video rather than the real time of the
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like in television, they show you the 3-point lighting and how you focus, but in photography, they show you how you can use natural light, use reflection, use like little table lights and all sorts of techniques of lighting.
That's my biggest downfall. I'm a great sound and audio engineer, but when it comes to lighting, that's my biggest downfall.
Well,
so I'm just starting to learn
simple.
like daylight and vivid and like all of the stuff.
There's so much into it. Even one of my aunts actually helped me out on one of my music videos because I called her up. I had an issue that we were shooting at night, and I was shooting in a field, and I said, what do I do? She has a master's degree in lighting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. In New York. So
she worked on
Broadway.
She's probably working on
she worked on Broadway and stuff like that.
Interesting.
And, off Broadway, on Broadway. So cool to have an aunt that's in theater.
Absolutely,
and gave me some advice. So I was like, Aunt V, Veronica. And I was like, I need help. She goes, what's wrong? I said, I'm shooting this music video on a farm, and it's going to be at night, and I don't know what to do because I have lighting equipment, but it's not enough lighting, to shoot. She says, make a campfire. I said, make a campfire. She says, yeah, when you make a campfire, set up all your lighting, how you want to just use campfire. The campfire will make it a nice glow.
Yeah.
A 360-degree glow around, and it'll give you that nice shot. And it worked. Yeah.
There's so many intricate layers to videography, and I'm still learning myself. And I'm teaching myself. I didn't even go to school for it, but
it's all right.
Yeah, I mean,
believe it or not, sometimes the best, even though I say if you go to school, you'll get the generic basic stuff. Lighting, I recommend do trial and error, like I have done. That's what comes with the the territory, trial and error. But if you're able to take, you can audit a class. You won't get credit, but you can audit a class or something like that. I think even at the local community college, or universities, depending where you're at, or take the 1 or 2 semesters and just take photography, and it'll really give you in depth. And sometimes a lot of stuff is just trial and error.
Of course.
If I learned more, I just took the classes so I can get more in depth. Because I'll tell you why. There's a lot of not to digress off a little bit, but kind of in point to this point, there's a lot of successful high-end businesses out there like Toyota, Hyundai. And if you watch a lot of the documentaries on these founders of these companies, they had a lot of trial and errors and fails. I mean, some of them failed 10, 12, 13, 15 times before they got it right. So what did they do? They went to school to find out what were they missing. You know, sometimes if you're stuck, be like, how do I do this? What do I do? You know, or you can find somebody that you can trust and you can relate to, to help you out, you know, as well. But, you know, so that's what I did. And it's between my aunt helping me out and trial and error and finding out, you know, like, oh man, how you cool, you know. And I've done other, you know, music videos. You know, I shot in the snow and
I could see some challenges to that.
Sure. Oh, believe me, when you shoot in the snow at 2 degrees, just talk about equipment failure.
Oh my God, I couldn't even imagine.
And your hands like that.
Yeah.
Run in the car, fall the camera off, go back, shoot for 15 minutes, back and forth.
So let's go back to the second time that you took photography.
Yes.
So
the second time, as I said before, I couldn't afford it. The second time, I saved up my money over the summer. I took a summer job, saved up some money, and then I got a job at the school after I had my summer job.
It's convenient.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, man, this is fantastic, you know. Who knew? And I was like, oh, this is fantastic. So I had enough money. I went to the photography store on Route 1 a long time ago. I forgot the name of it, but that's where everybody went to buy all their film supply. It was a huge photography store. You could buy everything.
It wasn't a Kodak store, was it?
No. Oh, thank you for saying that. Yeah. That was the other expense, the film.
Oh, yeah.
You had to buy the black and white film.
Crazy.
Yeah, we didn't do color. We had to shoot everything in black and white.
Really?
Yes.
Was there a reason for that?
I think it was because the chemicals we used didn't bring out the color. The color was a different process.
The chemicals for color were probably super expensive, so maybe they cut that
and had
back.
to use a machine to do that versus dipping. Yeah, the color, black and white is just two condensing colors. So the chemicals bring them out, and it's a little bit more affordable, of course. Or use it, thing. And so now I went there. I bought a bunch of paper. I bought boards. I bought like 20 rolls of film. Because I'm gonna tell you, it sounds like a lot, but when you're doing like different projects, you can go through 2 or 3 rolls of film.
I get that.
You know? And rolls of film weren't, and the black and white, professional film rolls we had to use. We couldn't use the regular Kodak. We had to use
of course,
a grade, because they wanted to show us how we could film professionally with professional grade film. Wasn't cheap. I'm going back to 97, 98, and you're spending $10, $50 on one roll. So you can see the expense. If you're buying 20 rolls to a college student, $200-$300.
That's rough, yeah. To say the very least.
Yeah, it's like, do I eat or buy roll of film?
Well, at least you got all of your supplies beforehand.
Yeah,
and that's where you got your success from.
Exactly, so. And I learned, and I got an A in the class. And believe it or not, the person, God bless him, his name is Lou Draper, and Don Lewing. Don Lewing was his assistant. Lou Draper was a world-renowned photographer. Wow. And he worked at Mercer County Community College.
So you learned from the best.
Yes.
Awesome.
Oh, boy. And I think that's probably where I get my little pettiness when I'm filming and putting everything together, as you probably notice a little bit.
I don't, honestly.
I don't?
No,
Jerry sometimes notices.
You come off as a very humble guy to me. So
I guess I play it off a little bit, maybe, because I'm so in particular, like how everything is set and lighting. But, as the film person. I wouldn't call that petty. I'd call that professional. Thank you. Yeah. Some people call it a little petty, but like, it's fine. It's fine. I said, no, wait, hold on. Let me just get that more adjusted and everything like that. Right? And Lou was like that. Lou Draper, he was like that. Wonderful guy, though. Isn't
that what makes the greats the greats, though?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I couldn't agree more.
Oh, yeah. He had photography in New York, Paris. He's African-American, wonderful guy. And boy, and when he scrutinized you. He'd be like, well, you got too much shadow over here. You're good right here, but you got too much lighting over here. So I'll give you like a C plus or not, And then he'll move to another one, But if you had the grading just right, and he knew, but he was tough, but he made us great.
So how does the old saying "beauty is in the eye of the beholder"
yes.
play into grading a photograph? Because I feel like it's more so what the artist is trying to capture.
Yeah.
That makes it great, rather. Or was there like a set
roles?
Yeah, like was there something that you were specifically needed to capture per assignment?
Oh, it was specifically needed to capture per assignment.
That makes a little bit more sense.
Yes. But yeah, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Because, once you're done with your schooling, you can go out and explore.
Absolutely.
Or you take what you know, goes back to experimenting.
Mm-hmm.
Take what you learn and then experiment.
Yeah.
And fortunately, I had a lot of friends. So I remember we had to do a window project. It's called window light. So you had to take an object. So of course I grabbed
like an apple.
So I grabbed one of my friends and said, "You're gonna be my subject." So we did it right on the campus. Took some pictures and everything like that, and I got an A on that project.
Awesome.
Because he said you did it perfectly, like you said. It said it was the rules. The first one, it was okay, and I remember I took a picture of Amtrak train. At the time, there was no fencing along the railroad, so the only problem is you got to be careful that you get on the right track and not get run over.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting on the rail, right on the I'm actually right on the bridge,
really,
next to the Trenton Mixed Rotax Bridge.
Okay,
but I'm on the Pennsylvania side, so there was no fencing there at the time. I guess it got out of hand, so they fenced it up. So I'm glad I have a shot of the Amtrak train coming across the Brownstone Bridge off of 29.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I went up there.
That's a nice shot too.
Oh yeah, it was beautiful. And because I said, so I bought that. He goes, "Well, I liked your window one. The train one, that's a little dark right over here." I was like, "Come on, Lou."
You're trying to be an innovator.
Yeah, I'm an innovator. Yeah, exactly. So, but I went out and shot it again. You listen to your professor. Because again, he's world renowned. So
absolutely.
And sometimes even world renowned, sometimes they'll make a mistake. Everybody's perfect.
We're only human at the end of the day.
Right? Exactly. But it's the knowledge and what you learn.
Absolutely.
So now I took what I learned and put into filming and photography and stuff like different lighting and different grades and stuff like that. But I gotta tell you, I got an A plus for the class.
There you go.
I went from I got a D, on the first one.
Mm-hmm.
The second one I got an A, because everything I learned from the first one, plus I was able to have the money to buy everything I needed, and I got an A in that class. It was great. I also studied architecture too, as well.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Well, maybe that'll be a conversation for another day.
Yeah, that'll be another day. Yeah, it was a dual major.
Interesting.
So after that, that's when I filmed "Forgive Me Not," the movie. Got involved with that, and then I got into other projects.
So post college, what were some of the projects that led you to create Iron Horse Films?
Okay, well, Iron Horse Films, I'll tell you why I chose it. If you notice, there's a train there.
Yep.
And I'm a train hobbyist.
Oh, okay.
I love trains.
Do you also build the little?
Yeah, I still have it. I don't have it together anymore because we moved around so much that I never got to put it together again. But eventually,
I used to love those.
Yeah.
Make them around the Christmas tree.
Oh yeah. I remember when I got my first one, when it was a little Amtrak train that went around the tree and stuff like that. There's something about the miniatures, even though it's not real life, there's just something about it that makes it amazing and fun.
Absolutely.
It's it's just an interesting hobby. There's a place, up in Flemington. I don't, this isn't, they're not paying for this, the advertising, but they have a big, huge mile railroad place up there. And it's just, some people might find it boring, but for train hobbyists and everything, there's something about it just amusing. It's relaxing.
I mean, you can paint them. There's so many different aspects, and you're creating your own little
village,
city, really. Yeah.
And it was fun. I had one since I was like 12, 11 years old. Believe it or not, when I was 7 or 8 years old, I used to, we didn't have a lot of money. We lived in an apartment and stuff like that. And my mom was just recently divorced and going back to the 80s, of course. Her and my stepfather have been together now, 35 years.
Good on them.
Yeah, 35 years.
Awesome.
Yeah. My mom's third marriage, but they, finally found the person you're supposed to be with.
Shout out to your mom.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember me and my older stepbrother and I have a younger sister, and that's biological, my sister, but by I have 5 stepbrothers.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but we just call them brother. I don't call them steps.
Yeah.
And
family's family.
Yeah, we love each other. Yeah, we do. They'll do anything for me. But anyway, I used to take note paper, and I used to build structures out of them, houses and cars.
So that's why you liked architecture.
Yeah.
And then you would add it to the train set and everything.
Train set, yeah.
There you go. You're a city planner then.
City planner, It's just something about, it's hard to say. I think it's the idea of seeing kind of like real life, but on a scale form, and you can control it.
Of course,
and it's something about it's relaxing and it's fun. You got the train go around and table and stuff like that. It's so much fun, and building little models, stuff like that, which gave you to the creativity.
Yeah.
But between that, it was just probably generalized everything. It had to do with creativity and art.
Yeah, of course.
Creativity and art, if you want to generalize.
So that's how it transcribes to the films, just the creative aspect of everything.
And if you think about it too, when movie sets, and people thought it was kind of odd I was taking architecture and television production, while I also took theater. Because I took architecture because, I thought, wow, I could build my own sets and design.
Yeah, that would be a good... does it compute well?
Yeah, it does actually. Believe it or not, I don't know if you know in the studio, even though it's, in my studio, I have that backdrop.
Yeah.
It's all gravity fed. There's nothing really holding it. Oh. Yeah, it's all balanced. I had to take physics.
Interesting.
Yes. I had to take physics. I took 2 physics classes and everything like that. And that's a whole another story. That was a fun class, believe it or not.
I love physics. So,
yeah. I remember one time we had to shoot these metal balls, and the professor said, if you break the glass, that means your coordinates are off. So you're sitting there writing down your formula. He just gives you one equation, and you had to write out a formula, like how far that ball has to go, what's the distance, the weight, and how much thrust do you need to. So we're like, oh man. So do this right here, like that. That's so much power. Like, write down the formulas, and he'll come by. My professor knew I got an A in the class.
Yeah, in physics.
And kind of wish I took it in high school. Actually, believe it or not, I should have, because it was all geometry and algebra.
Yeah,
pretty much. And he goes, and it annoyed me too. He'll go, so, Rodriguez, do you think you're not gonna break that glass? I was like, now you got me second guessing myself.
You gotta love those teachers.
Oh yeah, exactly. Because you got this big, catapult.
Yeah.
That you gotta put these metal balls. I mean, literally heavy metal balls.
And they have to be the right force to just hit the glass and not break it.
Break it, right. And the idea was, there was the cabinet, kind of like this.
Yeah.
In a cabinet glass. And on that side, that would be over there. And you had this big metal catapult. You had to crank it to the right thing, and then you had to raise it up high to a certain degree.
So it gets a good arc.
Yeah. Get a good arc. But also the propulsion part, you had to crank it back. And he goes, are you sure you got the right size? I said, I think I got it. Are you sure? And I said, you sure you don't want to put a padding on it? I said, no, because if the glass breaks, that means you got to go back and I said, you're actually risking the glass. And I was like, he goes,
sounds more like he was gaslighting you than teaching you.
Yeah, he was. I said, that's what I felt like. I felt like mostly gaslighting, because everybody else had a wall. I had the cabinet. And I was like, are you tricking? He goes, no, because I think you can do this.
Well, at least he was giving you affirmations on top of it.
But I was like, I know, right? I said, you think I could just test over there first? He goes, no. He said, I know you could do this, because you're great in the labs, but you're horrible on your test. I don't know why. You get everything fantastic in the labs, the measurements, coordinates, and everything. Mm-hmm. So he passed me more on my labs than my test because I wasn't a good test taker. Yeah. But in experimental, he said I was fantastic.
You seem more like a doer. You're like me. I'm more of a doer.
Yeah, doer. Yeah, when it comes to the test, you're like, oh man, shit like that. But when it comes to the tests and measurements, he goes, and so we finally did it. I launched the ball, and it didn't hit the glass. So I had the measurements correct. So he said, okay, you got an A. He said, I wish you could apply that same attribute to taking your test. Is you do the labs, you do the reports, A. Comes to the test. I told you I'm not a great test taker, But he said, I see your abilities, and I know the test doesn't show your abilities. So versus the test and seeing my capabilities and doing the labs and the experiments is what got me past the class. So I had a very understanding and ethical and empathy professor. That's
what you need. Yeah. So at least he understood that.
Yeah, that's why he did that test on me, because he says, so you think you pass the next test? I said, I don't know. So make sure you don't hit that glass. So everything I do between art and creativity, the classes I took, architecture, physics, photography, television class, the theater, all played into one conundrum, type thing. So it helped in the film aspects and stuff like that. I didn't even get into audio until like later on. Yeah. I was terrible on audio,
That's because I've been a DJ most of my life. I have a music studio as well. And that's where I started before I even got into videography or camera. So I was the reverse. Yeah.
And you can see how it both plays in hand. Like you start with the audio because you have a great video, but if your audio sucks.
Yeah, that's why I got this. So it worked out.
Yeah, definitely. And these are great too. Nice and heavy.
Absolutely.
And they take the vibration very well.
Yeah. So what are some projects at the beginning of Iron Horse that you started to work on?
Well, I won't bore you with the preliminary stuff too much.
Whatever you want to talk about.
Okay. All right. Well, of course, like I said, the first project I did was the film. Mm-hmm. We finished it after like 3 or 4 years because it was just, forgive me now, I was finished. And then I did a boxing documentary.
Who was the boxer?
I met Larry Holmes. I met Bernard Hopkins.
Wow.
Let me see.
Some legends.
I met Don King with the hair.
Yeah.
I met Joe Frazier. So
basically,
I'm going back some years.
All the legends.
Yeah, a lot of legends.
I love boxing. So I know everybody who you're talking about.
Oh yeah.
So it was Frazier. Yeah.
Frazier, and it was a boxing documentary on kids and boxing. That's what I did, but it never really got off the ground. I got a lot of footage and back and forth and stuff like that. And again, they gave me a shot, on that. But this is where it comes in when I say you have to get the right people to work with you. Yeah. Unfortunately, you would think that when you're working with these legends, the people that you work with, will say like, hey, this is great. If we do this right, we can get a lot of great affirmation on this. Mm-hmm. Of course, unfortunately that didn't work out the way I planned. Mm-hmm. I got everything tight because everything got tied up and everything. I'm trying to do the editing and stuff like that. My other partner, which I'm not partners with, made me late for a lot of these gigs and stuff like that, and
you definitely got to find the right people to work with.
Yeah.
Too.
So this was back in 06, 07.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going back some years, and I got the project done, but I got it done late, and unfortunately I do have still footage, but I think they thought Larry Hazard, which was the commissioner at the time, for the sports commission and stuff like that. They gave me a tryout and stuff like that, but fortunately, I didn't work with the right people at the time. because here I'm trying to build something that I think we could all benefit from.
Of course,
You know,
yeah.
I'm not a selfish person or anything like that, but you know, you're meeting icons and legends in the sports world, and
It's a lot of pull that you could potentially have.
right,
Yeah.
And here you're like, oh, I don't care and stuff like that, and I'm like, but that wasn't the idea behind this. I said, I could have did that myself. You know?
Sometimes you got to do it by
Yeah,
yourself.
I thought about it, and I said, you know what, I'm probably just going to do it myself. They gave me a second chance, but I think they kind of used me on it. You know, they kind of gaslighted me on this one, you know, and everything. Because I actually, I found out about that later, because when I interviewed, I asked Don King, can I do an interview? And he asked me to do a favor. So I did a favor for him and everything. And he never did an interview for me. He walked right out the room without doing an interview.
Did he give you a reason?
No, he just walked right out. I said, I did him a favor. He walked right out the room.
That's strange.
Yeah, it was really strange. The
I mean,
whole
he's
thing.
a strange guy with his history and everything.
Yeah, that too.
So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that too. Yeah, he's a very strange guy. So I came to the point where later in years, I actually gave up filming for a while after all that, you know, because I just felt devastated. And I was just like, I got to find the right people, you know, to help me out and everything.
So this is a perfect segue.
Yeah.
How did you connect with Gino and start working alongside Hamilton Public Radio?
Sure. Well, the irony was Gino was in my first film.
Oh, really?
Yes, he was.
Gotcha. So he
played the
always been
psycho.
a character.
Yeah, we met in 2003.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so that's how I know Danielle and everything.
Yeah.
When I met Danielle, she was 6 or 7 years old at the
Yeah,
time.
and I've only met her
Yeah.
the last week, so...
That's what, yeah. And so Gino kept telling me about, you know, Hamilton Radio, you know, and I was like, internet radio? I was like, I don't know about it. He said, let's give it a try. So you're not doing any more filming? And I said, yeah. And me and Gino just became good friends. I thought, you know, Gino was a decent guy and everything. So we
Yeah,
just
of
became
course.
friends, and he helped me out with some of the filming and stuff like that, you know, and he understood the troubles and struggles I was going through with the first film, you know, and it was a life lesson between my first and even my second film, that you know, sometimes you think you have the right people, and sometimes the true colors come out later.
Absolutely.
You know, so it's a journey. You know, it's a journey. You know, so when we met Gino, so finally, fast forward to 2012, in the summer, 2012, Gino comes to me and says, "This is Rueben. I need your help." He says, "What?" He said, I have an opportunity." Before the we became, it was I, of course,
Yeah.
because I wasn't really part of what he was doing. That's what I mean by I.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, "I have an opportunity to get a studio, but I need your help. And if you can help me, we could probably do this together." So I was like, "So what do you need my help with for?" He goes, "Well, they're doing this big event in the park, and I told him that we could film. I know a person that could film this.
Mercer County Park?
I think it was.
Yeah.
It was for City of Angels,
Yeah, it's probably Mercer County Park.
Mercer County Park.
Yeah.
Going back to summer 2012, of course, and we So I said, okay. So I called, you know, a few friends of mine, a few people that I knew were pretty decent that could probably help me out with this.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we bought a tent, we bought some computers to shoot live, and we had the lighting because we used YouTube Live, and I had a couple of cameras and stuff like that we taped the event. They said, "Wow, I had a face looking like CNN," or, you know, like that.
Yeah.
So impressed them a lot. So they gave us a space to use for free.
That's awesome. And that's where you're currently at now? Or?
Oh, no.
No?
This was in Groveville
Okay.
at the time.
Still close.
Yeah, still very close. And they showed us the space. It was about maybe that room and this room put together.
Cool. All right.
You know, nice size space, maybe a little bit smaller.
Yeah, that's a nice studio.
Yeah. And we had a table like this.
You were telling me earlier.
Earlier, right?
Yeah.
With a computer microphone and two little speakers. And our first person was Danny Coleman with Rock on Radio. He was our first one. And I remember he had to share the thing back and forth and everything like that. But an aspect that we were also helping them build City of Angels Radio, they helped us with the other studios, so it worked hand in hand.
Awesome.
and we engineered the shows for them, and we did some taping and everything like that.
It's really all about those partnerships when it comes to local interaction. And again, this is why I do this podcast free. It's more about the people that you meet and the connections that you get. That is more important than anything else.
Oh yeah, and you're absolutely right. And I want to tell you, I'm not gonna, I mean, history is history. It's all water on the bridge. But I always imagine, like, if we did things right with the boxing, where that aspect could have brought me to, But you learn and you grow, and and what was my encouragement, like you said, meeting the right people in connection, is when I listen to other people's success stories, and I'm like, wow, okay, so we all had our ups and downs and failures, and meeting the right and wrong people, along the way.
Yeah.
It's a journey, and, trying to find people that have the same aspirations as you, are not greedy, not egotistical, don't have an attitude problem with everything, and not try to take advantage of you, So I kind of I got stuck with Gino, but then what I did was I made my circle small, and then try, the aspect, and that actually worked for me. So we were able to grow. Me and Gino went from that studio, then we went to Robbinsville, and by that time my equipment started growing.
Around what time was that?
Well, Groveville, we were there from 2012. We moved in November of 2012, and we moved out 2013.
Gotcha.
November 2013. So not exactly about 13 months.
About a year. Yeah.
And then in 2013 in November, we moved into the Robbinsville place.
Gotcha.
And in Robbinsville, they moved us around 3 times through the course of 9 years.
Yeah.
We were there for a long time.
And Hamilton Public Radio pre-pandemic was a very successul organization.
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit about that too?
Oh yeah. Well, coming into pre-pandemic, we finally moved around. We were still growing and everything like that. So when they finally built us, we were growing to the point where we were running out of space. So I had to space out people, hour gaps in between the 2 shows. Like I couldn't do 2 to 3, then 3 to 4 or something like that.
And this is all live shows at this point?
Yeah, before we got cameras.
Yeah, because if you were talking about editing on top of all that, then just throw it out the window.
It was live broadcasting.
I would go crazy.
But we didn't have video, Where I got
okay.
Yeah, we
so
didn't have
it was
video.
talk only.
Yeah, just like this.
Well, that makes it a lot easier then, yeah.
Yeah, it was just the video, the audio, and we broadcast live on a computer. And what I noticed after doing it for about 1.5 years, going into 2014, I'll say maybe 2014, 2015, we're going in, and I remember people started using their cell phones to broadcast, on Facebook Live, and I was looking at it, me old school, of course, what are you doing? He goes, oh, we're broadcasting on Facebook. I'm like, oh, what is that? This is 2014, 2015. Of course, I'm behind me, Mr. Technology, behind on you could do that on your phone. Of course, I had the old technology phone. And I said, oh, wow, that's interesting. I said, I know you could do that on the phone. They said, yeah. So I was like, I looked at it, I said, oh man, everything's expensive. Get a camera.
I love iPhones, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But in 2013, when I bought my other camera, it was like, I can't, you told me these are here. I'm thinking to myself, I said, oh man, I can't, it wouldn't work. I bought all the different wires and everything, try to get the broadcast live, and it wouldn't pick it up. And then at the time I was like, oh man, video cards are so expensive. So we just left it alone for a while. And then I needed another software, Before vMix I had, I can't remember the name of it, but we had a different type of software. So
always got to optimize your studio as time goes on.
Exactly, optimize, more and more. So we, of course, bought more microphones, and as you saw, the long table, when they moved us out of the garage that we were in, it was a beautiful, loft garage that we were in. It was really low, ceiling.
Yeah. Well, you're sitting down.
You're sitting down, but when you get up, I don't know how many times, there's so many smudge marks on the thing, people bumping their heads. But I'm going to tell you, when we have Christmas parties or something in there, even though the studio, believe it or not, the the loft was about this size.
Okay.
From here, and it went from here to maybe your front door.
Yeah, that's a nice size. I mean, we make this work, you know.
Yeah, and it was a low ceiling, so it got pitched here. So we had to put the table like right here, like in the center. So I don't know how many times you get up, and bang your head.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna tell you, we had Christmas parties in there. We had singers come in.
That's awesome, though.
Yeah, and
I see Dani doing a lot of that, like live music on her podcast. Yeah.
Believe it or not, that's how Dani got started. Was in that loft.
Interesting.
Yes. Yeah, that's how she
little
got started.
Piece of Hamilton history, right there.
Actually, I taught her how to broadcast and interview people.
Yeah, no, her show's great. I've been watching some of her recently.
Oh yeah, she's done a good job. You know, funny story with Dani. I remember I was just leaving work. I was still working, at the school. Mm-hmm. I walked in, and I saw her struggling. But I'm not going to get to the, put somebody down.
Of course.
But yeah. So I said, all right. So we said, cut to a commercial, play anything, play music, whatever. Well, I said, we're going to do this. So I said, what's going on? She said, well, we're doing the question and answers and stuff like that, and interviews. So I'm looking at it. So and I think it was a telephone interview or something like that. So I told the person, can you hold for a minute? And so she's doing, this is before, she had one person she was interviewing, so I'm going over paperwork, and I'm like, okay, so I told you, I said, we're not doing 2 hours, we're going to cut. I said, how long she's been on for a half hour? I said, we're going to go on for another 40 minutes, and we're cutting it. So this is how we're doing it. So I had a meeting with them. I said, all right, Danielle, you're only going to do 45 minutes with commercial breaks in between for your interviews, and I'm going to write you a script, and I want you to study the script and use it and guide it. And so she practiced it more, and then I showed her what to do with one answer question people, like, oh, so where are you from? Trenton.
Yeah, no, you got to be on top for sure.
Yeah. So I told them, I showed her how to, sometimes they'll get you like elaborate. I said, every word, if you give you one word, elaborate on it. Like, what's your favorite color? Orange. Why is orange your favorite color? What was the purpose of orange being your favorite color? Do you like oranges or the color? Just
keep the ball rolling.
Yeah. So fortunately, she only had maybe one or two people like that. So, but they got them to elaborate more.
Of course,
on their music. Some people don't know how to do that. It's really hard when you have a one answer.
Interviewing is hard in general.
Yeah.
So I mean,
it's very,
the
very
following
hard.
she has, she's obviously gotten way better at it over time.
Yeah,
so,
she has.
Yeah.
She has excellent. It was like I said, everybody has a beginning. Somewhere.
Absolutely.
It's just not like you just start off like, bam, okay, this is what I'm going to do. There's a lot of aspects, like even with you with audio. Oh man, I remember when I shot my first movie, the audio was terrible.
Yeah. What kind of mics were you using? Boom mics? Or?
No, actually, I didn't even know about the boom mics at the time.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing with.
I think I didn't know what type of mic to buy. And two, I think I couldn't afford a boom mic, so I bought like the cheapest condenser mic I could buy. Yeah. And someone told me...
That doesn't help. These are condenser mics. So
yeah. It didn't
not
help.
What you want to film a movie with, for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I learned that lesson, But, over time, I experimented, and I found out what worked and what didn't work. Mm-hmm. I just, some of the stuff, audio was overmodulated. And some stuff came out great. Some things had buzzy noise. And, so over time I learned. I even taught. I was over time. It was self-experiment. I had certain sound guys come and show me certain things. I had one guy that worked for MTV.
That's awesome.
Came by and showed me what to do in aspects. So one thing I say this. And people, when they come to my studio, they if they have an idea, and they're just guests, and I understand where they're coming from, because a lot of sound people like, don't tell me what to do. I know what I'm doing. Type of attitude. Me, I said, hey, if you notice an error and I don't notice it, show me.
Yeah.
I say never stop learning. Even if it's
coachable.
Yes, be coachable.
Coachable.
Be very coachable. Because sometimes there's someone that can show you something, be like, oh man, I didn't know that. Yeah. Because these mix boards have so many components to
Your mix board is probably what, like 64 channels?
32.
32?
Yeah.
I was
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I
I'm
mean,
glad it's not
that's
64.
yeah, I was taking a wild guess at it. Just
You're close.
The last time
doubled it.
Yeah.
But there's some things on that board I still haven't used yet.
I totally get that for sure. Yeah.
You know?
And maybe that's something that we can mess around with and figure out like how to really optimize everything.
Oh yeah. We can definitely optimize things. It's an analog and digital board. There's other things in the digital box that you can use and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
But as time goes on, and I'm like, oh wow, okay, that's cool. I didn't realize you could do that.
Yeah.
But at the meantime, the compressors and the effects and stuff like that, pretty much gets us by for recordings.
Of course,
and levels of the auxiliaries
and you're also doing live, so it makes it a little bit easier too.
Yeah. And I'm starting to do recordings too as well. So
gotcha.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you, I just did my first music recording.
Really?
Yeah. The first one came out fantastic. The second one I'm probably gonna have to redo over.
Congratulations on the first one then.
Thank you. Yeah.
And best of luck on the reshoot.
Reshoot another one. I got a third shot to work on. And the recording artist that came by to do the recording and everything like that. So, gave me a shot. He was impressed with the first one. Second one wasn't. So I said, "Don't worry, I'm gonna redo that one."
Yeah.
Because the way I sent it to him wasn't the way I heard it. So I had to go revisit that one. But I said, "Let me finish the third one, get that out the way, then we'll revisit the second one."
Gotcha. So I want to have you back on again.
Sorry.
No, you're good. So I got one last question for you.
Yeah, sure.
Because again, I'd love to have you and Gino back on again.
Definitely.
Multiple times if possible.
Yeah,
you
sure.
seem very wise, and I love the stories that you're adding.
Yeah.
So I got two final questions.
That's right.
How did you connect with Tracey?
Okay.
Because Tracey's a part of our network and one of our favorite members. So shout out to Tracey.
Well, that's also another whole story. I got a lot of adventures. Well, to make a long story short, and we'll elaborate later, of course. Tracey's friend, actually Jerry Petito.
Yeah.
Her friend Janine Verducci, who's a actress and theater writer, had a play going on, and they needed help, ironically, with sound. So they needed like sound effects and stuff like that done, and also assisting directing, some of the plays. So Janine asked Jerry, and I talked to Janine. I said, yeah, I could do some sound for you. And Janine, I told her I also direct too, if you need, advice. So I went to the play for rehearsals.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there, watching the rehearsal, and I'm like Simon Cowell, I'm like, okay, this is not going to work, like that. But, Janine wrote a beautiful script. She's a beautiful writer, nice director. It's just getting, the actors, to a point, which you need to be at. So Tracey happened to be there too as one of the actresses, and all. So she knew that I was there. I helped Janine with the sound and also putting the play together, right? From my experience, and from that point, me and Tracey were friends. And then I helped Janine with the second play, and then Janine came out with the where I officially made my assistant director debut. With Mama Rosalina, which was a sitcom that we just shot in December, and it was on NJN, not NJN. What's that new one?
I forget the channel, but I know it's the sitcom.
Sitcom Mama Rosalina. It's on YouTube as well.
Check that out.
Yeah, Mama Rosalina, just how it sounds, Rosalina. And from there, me and Tracey became very good friends. Tracey's the one that actually found the place for me.
Yeah, she manages that building.
Yeah.
And she's a great friend, a great person, and
fantastic.
Also
person.
a real estate agent.
Yeah, she's a real estate agent. Because I called her, I was like, when I called, I didn't know it was Tracey. Because I was talking to her about, I said, we're at this studio, but my landlord won't give up because he's charging me outrageous rent. My rent was like almost $5,000 a month.
That's crazy.
Right. And the space was no bigger than your kitchen you live around here.
Yeah, I mean,
it was crazy.
I won't talk prices of what you guys, but that's insane.
Right? Yeah. Especially during COVID. And nothing to be ashamed about because everybody during COVID went through it. You know, even big companies had to downsize.
Absolutely.
300,000 square foot buildings and stuff like that. They're not utilizing.
So many Amazon warehouses even shut down.
Yeah. So compared to that and me being really small, I had to cut back. I kind of wish I found this place, during COVID. Yeah. I would have saved a lot of money
for sure.
But that's how me and Tracey met, and we became good friends. I'll do anything for Tracey.
Yeah, she's
Janine.
a great person.
Oh yeah, she's a wonderful person. And good realtor too. She'll find you a home.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're working with her right now. I'm trying to create a programming school in Trenton, and me and my partner are going to go through her to look at properties. So
okay.
Yeah, can't wait to work with her on that too.
Definitely.
So my final question for you is, what's in the future for Iron Horse Films and also Hamilton Public Radio?
Okay. Well, for Iron Horse Films, my goal is I have 2 scripts that I've been trying to attempt to make 2 full feature, films. One I got halfway done, but I might have to redo over again. The future is that I'll be able to build my first soundstage, which is my goal. I have my very first one. And now with the aspect of, movies really not going to theaters anymore, I have my own streaming video company. Course.
Really? What's that called?
Cinekan.net.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's CINEKAN.net.
Check that out, guys.
Yeah, check it out. We're still trying to get, film in there. I'm trying to work with other film festivals. I'm working with one, so I got one after 100 knocks.
You were telling me about that. Yeah.
I had a couple of knocks. I probably worked, but unfortunately, I can't get these films until next year.
Well, you got time to work on them.
Yeah. So my plan is over the summer. I'm trying to see if I can work with maybe film festivals that are happening presently again. Going to knock on some doors and see if I get a yes, somewhere along the line. But that's the future, is to expand. And, one of my inspirations of building a studio is Tyler Perry, believe it or not.
An incredible artist. Incredible artist, yeah.
He started off homeless, I'll never dress as a woman, I can't do that part.
To each their own.
To each their own, exactly. But on the other aspect of how he grew his studio, I know he has different partners, but he grew it from living in a car in Atlanta to buying islands and major properties and stuff like that. So I'm like, wow, if he can do it, anybody could do it. Yeah, it's just your aspirations, and you have to do it.
How much energy you're willing to put towards it.
Exactly.
And risks that you're willing to take.
Exactly. A lot of risk.
Yeah.
A lot of risk and stuff like that. And I actually got handed to me, which I still haven't read yet, and I have to get to it. I was handed another script, and they want to probably shoot this fall or next spring. It's about bullying. Bullying.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, not bowling.
No,
bullying. Bullying.
That would be an interesting script. But
Yeah, bullying. Or the script. I haven't read it yet. They wanted me to. The lady wants me to, of course, read the script and put a budget together. Of course, you can't put a budget together until after you read the script.
Of course.
I just haven't had time to do it yet. I just got it like a week and a half ago.
Oh,
yeah, plenty of time. I'm also in the midst of judging films too for the film festival that I'm.
That's what you were telling me about it. Yeah.
So I'm doing that too as well. So I have a lot of stuff I got to clear off my plate, so I can, read a script. At nighttime I try to say I'm going to read the script, but after I have a long day, I just want to sit down and watch TV. I'm just going to be honest. After a long day.
I totally get it.
You don't want to do more work.
Yeah, listen, those days where you're sitting in front of the screen 12 hours a day, your brain just feels like mush afterwards.
Exactly.
So I totally get it.
Yeah.
You need some time for yourself.
Exactly. And plus, it's a digital. I could go and get it printed, but I have to read it on the screen. Yeah. So that's yes. As for Hamilton, Hamilton Radio. I know Gino is looking at doing as the nonprofit portion for it.
So he is
I'm not sure yet.
Yeah.
Not sure yet. I know he's thinking about it,
It is a lot to put together. I get it. Yeah.
It's a lot to put together, and there's a lot of changes that he'll, of course, probably have to think about, that. you know, but I see us growing. The thing is with the advent, it's hard for radio, I would say, because things in radio has changed. You know, so
now everything's streaming.
Dramatic.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, Gino's one aspect always wanted FM radio, but FM channels are so expensive to get. You have to get a tower.
Unless they're offering you a deal.
Yeah.
And that's, yeah.
And then on the other aspect, who is actually listening to FM radio now? You know,
Yeah.
anybody probably, I can't even say 45 and because I'm in my 40s. I don't even listen to the radio.
I want to say that most of it's gone to satellite at this point.
Yeah, even satellite. You know, a lot of people gave up their satellite. They've been offering deals like crazy to get people back on satellite because with the advent of now your car has USB ports and stuff like that.
You could just download a podcast.
Your favorite music and you just listen to whatever your favorite podcast, like your show. Yeah,
Thanks, man.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, you just plug it in and you can listen. You know, I have satellite radio capability in my car too, but I used it for the 3 or 4 months they gave to me for free.
Yeah.
But then after that, you know,
I get it.
you know, it was, you know, not useful anymore because I think with this advent of people now can listen to their own music, make their own tracks or burn tracks or download tracks. You know, I don't want to say you don't need the radio. I don't want to say it like that, but that's kind of like...
It's becoming less of a variable.
Right. And, you know, the irony of it is that film has become more of a variable, even to the point where people want to see movies.
Yeah.
You know, it's great that, you know, people have your YouTube and stuff like that, but sometimes people want to see a great story.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know,
and
if it's streaming or in the theater.
Yeah, maybe you got to work on getting your projects on Netflix and Peacock and all of those.
I'm going to try if I can get one done.
Yeah, that's the other part to it, for sure.
Yeah. And, you know, everybody says you should just go and do it. You know, the filming, just do it. But there's more to it than just go and do it. And I try to make them understand. I would love to just go and do it. But especially with the advent of today's economy and stuff like that, you know, there's so much you got to do. Yeah. Yes, I have the camera.
There's a lot of intricacies beyond just the equipment and the people.
Yeah, exactly. Unless I did something like you and I just sitting here talking or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, 15-minute. You
That's
know,
what makes something like this so easy.
Yeah, exactly. You know, with the filming, but there's so much more. I mean, if you don't mind.
Yeah, keep going.
Over the past summers, over COVID, I actually shot a couple of shorts as well, which I was cinematographer for.
Of what? I'm just curious.
We shot a thing called forgive me. What's the name of the film? Nothing in Common. It was a short we shot in 2020, in the summer 2020. You know, because of COVID, of course, you had to have the social distancing of filming, which was kind of weird because we were outside.
Strange times.
Strange times.
Very least.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then we shot another short, which is not done yet. I mean, I think it's finished and it was put into the film festival, but it hasn't been put out there yet. I was also the cinematographer for that, you know, short. We shot it on the beach and we shot it in a park. And of course, COVID, there was hardly nobody out.
That's convenient. In a way.
Yeah. And so on 2 of those, I was shot, you know, and before COVID, I shot this thing called Tomato Limbo. And actually, one of the actors that was in The Sopranos in season 6, I shot with him. His name is Artie Pasquale.
I feel like I've heard that name before.
He was forgive me, I forgot the name character he played.
Yeah, no worries.
In season 5 or season 6.
I'll look him up and throw it in the corner.
Yeah, it was either 5 or 6 in the season. Artie Pasquale, he was in The Sopranos, and I worked with him on this one short. We shot the trailer and everything like that. I was the assistant, you know, cinematographer coordinator. You know,
awesome.
For that scene and stuff like that, to set up the scene and stuff like that, and great guy to work with. I remember we shot this one scene that we shot at the kitchen, and because I remember just previous we started shooting, Artie goes, you know, Rueben, I always get typecast, you know, for the films. And I said, well, Artie, you gotta try it. Maybe open up, try a different, expression and character, to do that. So I go in the kitchen because he had a hard time because he wanted to swing the door open and do his line. It was like, bam, like that, right? So I go on the floor. I said, I'm going to go on the floor. You're going to swing the door. I'm going to hold him to the door and we're going to swing it together, So we're practicing. He goes, Rueben, since you're on that floor, I should pour some hot sauce on you. And I said, you see, Artie, that's why you always get typecast.
Oh my God. That's too much.
Yeah. But I just got to say this one last thing.
Yeah.
I know you got to get going.
No, you're good.
I want people to know that filming is fun. Radio is fun. Because I met so many artists. I mean, we'll probably have to do like 2, 3, 4, interviews to go through everything.
And again, you're more than welcome back on. I want to save some of the stories so that we can get.
I mean, everything. I'm working on the presidential race. I'm doing that.
That's going to be an interesting one for sure.
When I went down to the border, from the migrants coming in, but that's a whole nother storyline.
Yeah, absolutely.
Part 3, 8, or whatever.
So, if anybody wants to work with you, how do they contact you? Where can they find you?
Well, I'm not so much an aspect of putting out my phone number, even though I know you see it on the screen.
We'll blot it out if we have to.
Yeah, that's all right, But I would say email me at ironhorsefilms@verizon.net.
There you go.
Yeah, IRONHORSE, like the animal, FILMS @verizon.net.
Wonderful.
And, you could reach out to me if... for, video, documentaries.
Send them your scripts.
Oh, send me your script if you want to shoot the movie. Or if you need help planning your film, which I'm working on right now with the lady. But I'll give you a schedule. And please, if you have a script or something like that, if you have a script or anything like that, don't say that you need it done next week.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Give us some time for sure.
Give us some time to read the script, go through the budgetary stuff, and I could tell you, some people, believe it or not, I just did a budgetary thing for one guy that wanted to shoot a short film in Staten Island.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I got him.
Probably a bit expensive over there.
It was, but I was able to get him a budget for $8,000 for his short 15-minute film.
That's great.
Yeah, but he was like, I might have to wait till next year to do it.
Yeah.
But he said that's fantastic because everybody else is giving me 15, 20 grand.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is, watch out for predatory practices.
Yeah, exactly. Only big reason why they gave that, like I said, watch out for predatory practices. And also, if you're doing a period piece, just be wary about that because there is a cost to doing a period piece versus a present day, piece.
And by period piece, he means like if it was based in the 1950s or something like that.
Right, 1950s, 40s, 60s, whatever.
Yeah.
Because you got to get the furniture, the cars, and stuff like that.
Absolutely, yeah.
And believe it or not, if you have to do a period piece, I know a person who has classic cars.
Rueben, it was a pleasure to have you on again.
Thank you so much, Joe.
We will definitely have you back on to hear more of your great stories, and I can't thank you enough for coming on.
Oh, and thank you very much. I'm humbly grateful for the interview, and I thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
And you listen to this, what's the name of the podcast?
The Current Currencies podcast.
Okay, the Current Currency podcast. All right, make sure you listen in, tune in, and share.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
Everybody have a wonderful day. Cut.